got Game 7,
yes,
baby.
We do, boys and girls. It is Game 7 tonight. 7:03 first pitch, 6:30 pregame with this man, Jared Sandler. Morning, Jared.
What's up, guys? I made the big mistake. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go outside for a walk, but there is nothing in this godforsaken city that's worth walking to or walking around. And I feel like I can be anywhere right now, and I'd be in a better spot than walking outside in Houston.
Man, there's a love-hate. Either people love Houston or hate it. I don't think there's a middle ground there at all, right?
What's the love?
I don't know.
The humidity, the traffic.
There's zip code pride, Jared.
Yeah.
That's a thing. Generally, it's that nobody. Like, I feel like if you love Houston, it's because you're from there. I don't think anybody loves Houston like who visits.
Yeah, James Harden likes Houston.
I mean, yeah, strip clubs and alcohol.
Yep,
so yeah, that does track.
All right, take us inside the stadium last night. Like just the emotion, the energy, how quiet it got after the Grand Slam. Take us inside there.
Yeah, there was a lot of I'm pretty sure. Okay, so fans ride these emotional waves, right? And what's like the most common question after you have a big win or a big loss? How is that going to affect them? Because I think there's this assumption that when you get a big win, you're just going to be rolling, or when you suffer a dramatic, devastating loss, you're done. And so there was definitely a feeling in the ballpark like, hey, we're just going to go through the motions, but I mean, the Astros are going to clinch tonight, right? Like it's just a matter like what's the final score going to be? I mean, there's this delicacy with like within the media. You know, you got to plan for a clinch. Like you don't just all show up on the field and everyone knows where to go. But usually there's like a tact in how you have those conversations, especially in a public space. Astros people were just throwing out all sorts of stuff out in the open, like as if this is like a done deal. And I think the fan base had a similar feel. There was definitely an energy in the building. And when the Astros scored in the first inning, I think the thought was, okay, yep, here we go. But Mitch Garver's home run kind of changed things. And all of a sudden you felt a little bit of a nervous energy, like, yeah, we're gonna do this, right? Like this is gonna happen. And then when Jonah Heim homered, all of a sudden you could hear the teeth clattering and that angst. And they certainly had some fun with Adolis, and Adolis allowed them to have some fun with 4 strikeouts and his 4 plate appearances. But once he hit a grand slam, that stadium started to empty out. And I don't know. Everyone always likes to ask who's got the pressure in this situation. I don't know. But what I do know is that we got a Game 7, and before the series started, I don't think Astros people really expected this. Matter of fact, last thing I'll say on this, I'm kind of tired of Astros media people saying things like, oh, it's so cute you guys made this a series, or, hey, I'm glad you guys were at least competitive, or, if something crazy happens, maybe you guys can win the series. Both these teams won 90 games.
Yeah.
Like, the arrogance as if, like, this was a done deal kind of baffles me.
Jared, to that point, you talking about Adolis there and the energy he was getting from the crowd and everything else. What did you just think overall about, Adolis's, pimping the home run, the way the Astros responded, intentional or not, how it slowed down the game on Friday night, and then just how he responded last night? You mentioned the 4 strikeouts. Do you think he was pressing a little bit in the first few at-bats?
Yeah, so a lot of questions there. Last night, yes. I think Adolis is going to be Adolis, and that means he is going to try and, hit a 7-run home run sometimes.
Yep.
And I think when the whole crowd is booing, I think he really wants to hit a 7-run home run. And he reverted back to 2021 and 2022 Adolis, who just kind of was a free swinger, and that got him out of his game. But, and I don't know that he really did anything differently in that 9th inning other than Ryan Stanek just decided to throw him a cookie.
Yep.
So I think it is important that Adolis tonight has some level of discipline. Now, with all that said, he's got home runs now in 3 straight games. He's got a hit in an RBI in 5 straight games. Whatever he's doing is working, but it definitely looked like he was just trying to hit the ball 700 feet last night. But it was a little bit of poetic justice for him to deliver the dagger. I had no issue with his celebration on Friday.
It's the way it is now. You can't. We're way past that now.
Yeah, he did. Well, I mean, unless you were a spare player in the 90s who has nothing better to do because the game's moved on past you.
Right.
He didn't taunt the Astros. He celebrated with himself and his teammates. If you don't like that, then don't watch the NFL because, my goodness, if you have a problem with that, then you probably have a problem with every time a receiver makes a catch, he's singing for a first down. He gets up and does a little first down dance, which I don't have a problem with either. This game should be fun. Let's have some fun. If you're 75 years old and listening, I don't mean this disrespectfully to you. You are still important as a baseball fan, but the 15-year-old is also super important. The 20-year-old is super important because these are the fans of the future, and we need to engage them. And they like fun. They like excitement. And you know what? If you're 75 years old, I hope you like fun and excitement too. And these guys playing with emotion and passion, it's a good thing. Do I think Brian Abreu hit him on purpose? I don't think anyone can unequivocally say they know for sure. I lean that yes, he did. I don't think it was his own doing. I think that's all coming from Martin Maldonado. And I will tell you that there are people on the Astros side of the fence, and I'm not talking about some dork in ticket sales. I'm talking about baseball people who also believe that it was done intentionally and believe that Martin Maldonado is behind it. So,
is that why Adolis went after him?
Yeah, yes, I think so. Yeah. So I don't know for sure if it was intentional. But I do think it was awfully fishy, awfully suspect the timing of it all. And if it wasn't intentional, then it's just unfortunate timing for Brian Abreu.
And last night, Maldonado gets plunked. Do you think that was on purpose?
No, there's no way that you hit a guy intentionally who's one of the worst hitters all time in Major League history. Of all players with at least 3,000 at-bats and 1,000 games played or something, he's like bottom 5 in batting average. So, no, I don't think that was done intentionally. And if you also look at the replay, he dropped his elbow and sort of leaned into a little bit. So, no, I don't think there was any intent there. But it is kind of funny that Nathan Eovaldi hits a guy and he hits Martin Maldonado.
Yeah. So Abreu has his hearing today. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I guess, initially Buster only reported it was going to be tomorrow, and then I saw he amended it. And, I mean, I don't know how these things work. I would be surprised if the suspension was totally, nullified. So, as long as it's only reduced just one game, then Brian Abreu is not available tonight, and that ends up being a costly loss for the Astros, especially if it's a close game.
Would they be, if he is suspended, would they be able to add a roster,
that's
a player?
A good question. I don't know. I don't think so, RJ. I think I could be incorrect. I think if they were to do that, then I think he would be ineligible for the next series. I think it's similar to like if you were to remove a guy for an injury, that they would be out the next year. I could be wrong, but I do not believe they're able to add.
Jared Sandler joins us here, 105 through the Fan. What is Aroldis Chapman's role right now? Like, what is the length of his leash? Because it seems it's very, if anybody gets on base, they just pull him.
Yeah, so I think I got to get my game straight. In Game 5, I think a part of it was just because of who it was that was due up, and that was Chas McCormick. There are a lot of factors that don't play favorably there for Aroldis. First of all, Chas McCormick absolutely crushes lefties. Second of all, he had that back-breaking 3-run home run against Aroldis back at Minute Maid Park earlier in the year. So there is a recent history of success. But maybe more importantly, Chas McCormick hits velocity about as well as anyone else in Major League Baseball. He's the only player, I think, in the big leagues this year to homer off of multiple pitches over 100. I think he's got the home run off the hardest pitch in Major League history when he homered off of Ben Joyce earlier this year. So velocity doesn't faze him, and he struggles against righties, and particularly righties who have the type of repertoire that Jose Leclerc does. So I think that's kind of why. Now, do the Rangers prefer Aroldis with nobody on base? I think they do. I know they can't just operate well if there's a guy on base and you face 3 batters, see you later. But I think that specific to Game 5, it had more to do with the guy up than the fact that he had allowed a base runner.
And you expect Carter 3-hole today again? Garver? I think they're going to do that.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I mean, I expect Carter in the lineup, obviously, against the righty. Mitch is a really good fastball hitter, and Christian Javier's best pitch is his fastball. He loves to elevate it. It's, frankly, it's not the world's greatest matchup for the Rangers because it's their weakness versus his strength. So the Rangers are going to have to make adjustments. But yeah, that aside, I guess maybe I think it's one of those two, right? And I say that, and then it's probably going to be Josh Young or someone. I don't know, but I think it's one of those two, Garver or Carter. I don't know that there's going to be a reversion back to Nathaniel Lowe or anything like that. But my guess is, my guess is Evan Carter. But it's not like he's been necessarily swinging the bat incredibly well lately. So you can make a case for Mitch Garver. I think it probably goes to, whatever their data says and who's going to be the better elevated fastball hitter. Evan Carter hasn't necessarily been drilling elevated fastballs, but he has shown an ability to lay off that pitch just a little bit better.
Jared, what is your reasonable expectation for what Scherzer can give you tonight, and who do you think is first out of the pen when he gets taken out? Is it Dunning?
Yeah, I think reasonable expectation is, the guy's going to try and figure out whatever he can do to get out. I don't know. I don't even know if he knows. He was pretty candid before his last start. Like, I don't know what to expect. I think that from a management standpoint, I think it's reasonable to expect that he's going to have a pretty short leash and that they're going to be preemptive, more than, reactive. If Scherzer goes 3 innings and gives up 1 run, but he's kind of laboring, and now Yordan Alvarez is due up for a second time in the 4th, I wouldn't expect to see him back there. Now, if he's carving guys up, it's a different story. But I think, they obviously want to avoid that one big swing that totally changes the game. And as far as who's next in, it just depends situationally. Is it the 3rd inning? Is it the 5th inning? Is it the 7th inning? Is it a trio that includes Alvarez and Tucker due up, in which case maybe it's Jordan Montgomery. Maybe it's Andrew Heaney. Is it, you got 3 righties due up? All right, maybe it's Dane Dunning. I don't know. I think you could also see Josh Spores in like the 4th inning if there's a bases loaded 1-out situation. I don't think that this one is going to be nearly as scripted the way, a typical piggyback or an expected shorter outing from a starter could be. I do think that Dane Dunning's available, or he's obviously available, and I think he'll be used. But, everyone other than Nathan Eovaldi is going to be available tonight, including Jordan Montgomery. And so I think that totally opens up the playbook for Bruce Bochy. And the thing is, it's not that this is the only, I don't want to say must-win game. This is not the only game with, the chips going all in, but you don't have to worry about a game for several days if you win. And if you lose, obviously, you don't have to worry about a game for several months. So, they have the ability. I don't want to use the word cavalier, but Bruce Bochy's got the ability to be hyper-aggressive without worrying about any level of compromise for subsequent games.
Man, that's what I love about Game 7s and Game 5s. There's all hands on deck. Literally everybody, like you said, except for Eovaldi, which we've seen guys pitch Game 6 and 7. We've seen starters. Randy Johnson did that, but probably not going to happen with Eovaldi, especially this close removed to being out. So, all right, well, 6:30 tonight, right?
6:30 tonight, and I just want to say this because no matter what happens tonight, I hope that I certainly there's a level of appreciation for this team constantly bouncing back. This is not going to be easy tonight. The Astros are a really good team. I think there would have been a deflating feeling if the Rangers, if all the emotion and energy had been sucked out of them from that devastating loss in Game 5 and they showed up flat yesterday. But there's something about this team and their resilience that it's a lot of fun to watch. And I don't know what's going to happen tonight, but man, this team's given us a ride. I hope it doesn't end tonight, but it's been a heck of a lot of fun to follow this team, and I hope Rangers fans have enjoyed it as well.
Well said. Talk to you tonight, man.
See you guys.